Airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're on these days, including Facebook.com/Talk El Paso, at Talk El Paso on Twitter, the Talk El Paso channel on YouTube, and Twitch, and Andrew J. Polk. Either of those names, Talk El Paso, Andrew J. Polk, that being the show. You'll find us on all those platforms, and, that's the main ones we know about anyway. Happy to be back with you after the holiday. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving out there. In the meantime, a lot of stuff been happening here. Refreshed and ready to hit it back as we're back in the studio here today. So, a lot of stuff we will be talking about, taking those calls a little bit later in the hour, towards the half hour, as we usually do. But let's just say we've had a lot of developments over what is maybe not usually a slow news time, particularly when it comes to political stuff here, but it's already started ramping back up again pretty immediately. Some stuff happening right before we ended up hitting back into the office here today, amongst other things here. So that's just some updates on the governor's race, let's say, that we'll be getting into, as well as some of the local issues, some expectations coming on updates, or I guess more accurately, return to previous immigration policies, and more coming out of federal policies anyway, whole remain in Mexico and all that comes with that. Plus more consternation and consideration anyway for what happened during the winter storm last year, and considerations going forward, and what that could mean for us here locally, more specifically. So all that and more, again, if you want to tune in on any of the pages that we're on, a good way to have the conversation throughout the hour is over on those social media pages. But let's just jump right into it there. That there is an expectation that the whole Remain in Mexico policy could be coming back into effect in the days to come. What exactly that means is, it's unsure at this exact moment, but according to senior administration officials within the Biden administration, could be in the upcoming days, so maybe as soon as this week. This does come after there was a Supreme Court, I believe, injunction against, or maybe that's not the correct phrase, Supreme Court action in any case, against not having it in place. Very similar-ish to the whole DACA and that situation, in the previous administration, trying to do it from the previous administration, if that makes sense. So this would be something that would, again, known as removing just the Title 42, which is also interesting because there's actually a study that just came across my inbox here today from one of the local organizations that does some study and look into this. And maybe we'll get in more to that here in the coming days from the Hope Border Institute, who we've had on the show previously, that amongst the advocacy organizations, kind of the microcosm of them that deals with that issue here in town, actually does some deeper study into, and including having sent people to contributing communities. So I've only just started to dig into it here, but they've done interviews with migrants and asylum seekers in Juarez, talking about what are some of the contributing factors. So going beyond just what do we deal with it here, and getting a little bit of the broader view that I think is important to move forward with this, about, what is actually contributing to this, what's actually causing it, is, the conventional wisdom that gets thrown around about this, does it bear out when it actually, gets investigated, gets looked into? And you're welcome to disagree with that, but probably be talking about that here a little bit more in the coming days once I can really sink my teeth into it, because as these programs and these policies evolve, change, and come back into effect, though I'm going to be a little bit surprised if it is carbon copy, if it's just going to be exactly the same that it was. Though, at the same time, I also wouldn't be surprised if the Biden administration uses this as somewhat of an excuse, somewhat of a way to say, we've had to put this in place, so we're doing it exactly by that way. So all the bad stuff that comes with it, you can just blame everyone else because we've had to do it. We didn't have a choice. I would not be surprised if that is a narrative that emerges out of this, because I got to tell you, advocacy groups in general and those, watchdogs, etc., not terrifically happy about it, because, there was a lot of problems under the Remain in Mexico policy. Whole lot more also under Title 42, the remaining one, that has really been the only thing in place, really, to help deal with the situation. And even when that has fallen aside, particularly when it comes to the unaccompanied, or just say quote unquote unaccompanied, because that whole side of the policy has led to its own. I mean, we've heard of even local instances of people saying, oh, no, I'm totally under 18. So, yeah, I get to come in and go and deal with these things. And probably not getting exactly what they expected, given all of the problems that have happened across administrations with the entire federal dealing with unaccompanied minors in these, temporary facilities, camp situations. It hasn't worked out exactly well for anyone. I don't think anyone out there is arguing that no, these guys have at any point have totally gotten it right. In fact, just the opposite. So I gotta say, I would not be too surprised if that ends up becoming the emerging narrative. The way that it ends up getting talked about from this administration is that, well, with us having to put Remain in Mexico, MPP, Migrant Protection Protocol, so-called Remain in Mexico, what it ended up being called, that, we just had to do it, so therefore we kind of wash our hands of it, because, I mean, they've been taken, at least locally, a bit of a shellacking from a lot of sides of the aisle on that issue, even as we're dealing with a lot of other ones. Yeah, so that's one of the major ones coming up here. And then one I wanted to mention, because it affects us here, how we do this program, and why we also focus on doing things online. One of the top stories coming out of El Paso Inc. this past week, tower troubles. Why there is concerns about that whole... The best view you can get of it is when you're going on I-10 down near the railroad tracks, actually. The former, big interchange that they had just east of the main downtown area. You get that straight-on edge view of the Franklin Mountains. You can see all the towers stacked up there. And for the most part, most of the towers you see in that view were previously, anyway, serviced by the Weiler Aerial Tramway. And that having been... It's not even needing repair, it has outlived its lifetime, which is a fine point that I think some people miss sometimes, that, I mean, all machinery, anything man-made has a lifetime to it, and after that point, you got to either serious repairs to the point of replacing, or just go ahead and replace it. It's been coming up in the last couple of legislative sessions. I remember back in, what was that, 2019 at this point? Yeah, it was the last legislative session. This one felt like it went on forever. There was a significant amount of discussion within the state legislature, and there was some money put forth in appropriations that came out saying that, okay, we can look at it. But that was primarily, at least the way it got talked about, from kind of the recreational aspect of, oh, it's a nice view, and do a park, facilities, that kind of thing, for the general public overall. And sure, that's not unimportant, but from a larger aspect, there is, just quoting from the article here, I believe 18 different organizations, including state, 18 entities, 5 federal government agencies, 1 Texas agency, City of El Paso, 6 broadcast companies, and the university, all having facilities that are having issues with dealing with this. My understanding is that there has been some very low-level operation of the tramway, but without a return to this, and this is why it has actually been focused on by not even just our local representatives, but getting increasing focus from outside the state, because with that amount of focus and need there, radio is important. I'm not going to not say that, but there's a whole lot of other communications that go on there that have been focused on as well. So that's another interesting one coming out in the latest El Paso Inc. here. So we are coming up on the need for a break here. So coming back from the break, we'll get a little bit more into that gubernatorial topic. However you may be feeling all right about it, getting to that news coming out today with a Twitter announcement and a whole lot more. So come back from this break, get into those more subjects, looking at comments over on the Facebook page and on the other social sites as well. Tune in, chime in there if you want to. And more Talk El Paso. Back after this break with more here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Focus is something that I could always use more of, because there's always so much going on in a day, but both immediately in our area and around the area, and that affects us here. It can be hard to narrow down what you're doing on it, and whatever you're doing in your day, focus is often worth its weight in gold. So something that I turn to help me increase that. A lot of stuff out there that promises it, often being in the form of being jittery on caffeine, which leaves me personally feeling a little bit more unfocused than not. Something that I drink that actually doesn't do that and leaves me energized, but able to, really crack on with the task at hand is Clever Tea, KLEVRTEA, locally produced, locally made, and have just included their sneak previews of their new facility down there in central El Paso, where they're going to be ramping up production here shortly. They are offering their Oolong Wise blend, which is a delicious blend of oolong tea, coconut, pineapple, hibiscus, eucalyptus, hawthorn berry, and cinnamon. I'm never a huge cold tea drinker, but I actually really love this stuff in the pre-made bottles because it comes sweetened with just the right amount of monk fruit. And again, locally made, support local, particularly in this season. Plus, by submitting your next order online, enter the code radio15 at checkout, and you can get a discount off your next order. So that number, again, that website is clevertea.com, KLEVRTEA.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
I-10 westbound stop and go heavy traffic right now from Missouri Avenue over to Schuster Avenue on the I-10 westbound. Rojas Drive west of Joe Battle Boulevard, Loop 375. There's an accident right at the intersection of Rojas and Loma Verde Drives. Also, the I-10 west at McCrae is back open from earlier road work, slowing with a minor backup there. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Audible is the best place to listen for everything you're into, from comedy and motivation to popular podcasts and best-selling audiobooks. Right now, take advantage of a special holiday offer and save 60% on your first 3 months. Learn more and sign up at audible.com.
I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO of Wesley Financial Group and timeshare cancellation advocate. I was sued by the largest timeshare company in federal court for simply helping people cancel their timeshare that they had been lied to about. The jury sized me up and came back with a verdict after only 20 minutes. And yes, I won.
My husband and I are more than grateful to everyone at Wesley Financial Group. You know, thanks to Chuck and his team, we feel as though a weight has been lifted and we can move on without the worry of a troublesome timeshare.
Whether you owe $10,000 to $250,000 on your timeshare, it's my mission to get you out of your timeshare, eliminate your payments, and get them off your back permanently. Give my office a call today. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare contract or you'll pay nothing.
Get the facts. Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-601-5050. That's 800-601-5050. 800-601-5050.
From MSNBC Films comes the story of visionary French artist J.R.
It's not only about the art, it's about the people. Art can go places, beyond laws, beyond rules, beyond borders. It's something that we the people own.
From Oscar-winning producers Brian Grazer and Ron Howard, the world television premiere of Paper and Glue, Friday, December 10th at 10 p.m. Eastern on MSNBC and in select theaters now.
Support those important organizations and small businesses in our community with a charity event, toy drive, and beer release on Black Friday. Head to the Three Missions Brewery Beer Release fundraising party.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and whatever, just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of things we're talking about here today, a lot of stuff affecting us in the borderland, including prospective return to previous immigration policies and all that comes with that, frankly, here, even as there's other stuff going on, including articles over on our main website, ktsmradio.com, titled Border Patrol Moving to Address Non-Compliance with Vaccine Mandate. So even more impacts coming from there. Had some previous interviews with some of the union reps there. May need to revisit with them on that kind of a subject here because all the things that are happening with court cases involving this, and I know there was another federal judge putting some things together, definitely some different situations here, that being a direct federal agency. So check that out for yourself, and we'll definitely have more conversation about that. But one of the bigger topics that we have been talking about here when it comes to Texas politics, anyway, a lot of focus, of course, ever since we had the announcement of the Democratic primary run, and therefore hopefully going to challenge Texas Governor Greg Abbott in the coming up on just under a year now, closer to about 11 months, really. Countdown is definitely on for the 2022 general election, of which the Texas governor is a seat up for grabs. Of course, Abbott has his own challenges in the meantime, with some challenging him from the right, which is an interesting situation overall. We've talked about that a bit, but one that has captured a lot of attention here, shall we say, as we have Calvin Williams and Ed Clore chiming in here with a longer comment here. That we'll get into that analysis here in just a second. But, well, let's just say when it comes to how all right the race is.
Hey, everybody, Mcconaughey here.
Updating everyone on Twitter a little bit earlier, not even quite a day ago. So over the weekend, I said things were going on even as we were out of the office here. Did have an announcement about Matthew McConaughey, who has been kind of the, for lack of a better term, dark horse candidate, except he wasn't exactly a candidate yet, but kept being brought up in a lot of conversations, talking about his intentions. I mean, he had teased this, to be fair, that within about the next week, before the end of the filing deadline anyway. But once you say something about that, within about the next week, I expect it anyway, and bore out here just after the holiday, because otherwise it could have gotten swallowed up by Thanksgiving, I think. Went on to talk about what his thoughts were about getting to this point of being strongly rumored to be wanting to run for governor.
I've been considering a run for governor of Texas. I've been listening, I've been learning, been measuring, been studying Texas politics and American politics. What have I learned? A lot. That we have some problems we need to fix.
So going on to talk more about kind of his journey to this point, having been an actor and not really expecting to be in this, made some finer points that I did appreciate, such as this.
That we got to start shining a light on our shared values, the ones that cross party lines, the ones that build bridges instead of burn them.
Which is not exactly the main political currents of our day, but by the by, his main announcement came about towards the end of the about 3-minute video he posted on Twitter, announcing what his full intentions are.
As a simple kid born in the little town of Uvalde, Texas, it never occurred to me that I would one day be considered for political leadership. It's a humbling and inspiring path to ponder. It is also a path that I'm choosing not to take at this moment.
So choosing not to take the path of running for governor at this moment is the word from Mr. McConaughey, who had captured a lot of attention, but wasn't exactly a hard one to call, I gotta say. Been saying for a minute now that he'll probably stir up a lot of excitement and end up throwing support behind some candidate or another, but I actually kind of wonder if that last part will end up being true or not, given his kind of closing synopsis statement as the part of this video.
Politicians? Well, the good ones can help us get to where we need to go, yeah. But let's be clear, they can't do anything for us unless we choose to do for ourselves. So to the leaders and the servants out there, and the leader and servant in each one of us, cheers to you. Here's to the freedom to be you, the freedom to be me, and to our responsibility to be us.
Again, that coming directly from McConaughey's Twitter, where he made that announcement a little bit yesterday here, not quite 24 hours before our show here, but close enough. So announcing that he is not going to be running, but still stirring up a lot of excitement in the meantime here. Ed Clore with a longer comment that I don't think will fit on screen here, but saying that, and could kind of decently be told from the way all of that language is being used, that McConaughey describes his party affiliation as aggressively centric, quoting directly from him, "Look, I'm a meet you in the middle kind of guy here." And then John Hurt's chiming in as well on the subject here. So I gotta say, if that is truly his position of wanting to be aggressively centric on it, which, I mean, I like the idea of working across the aisle, but of trying to live in the middle of the bridge, I don't think it's going to work in Texas, first of all, just to be perfectly honest, particularly not in a season which we haven't really, and I mean really, gotten into the main campaigning that's going to be happening right now, or at the very least in the lead up to the primary. We've talked with the candidates that are challenging the governor from the right, 3 main ones that I'm aware of anyway, that are saying that based on what happened over the last couple of years here, specifically pandemic response being the real kind of sliver of daylight that opponents are trying to identify and then create that wedge between the governor and his base on, it doesn't really make sense, I guess, for someone who would want to run as a centrist to try and do that when the very likely possibility is, and that in the lead up to this primary, we're going to see a serious shift of, given the control of the party has in the state, towards right-wing policies and politics and to that right side base, and then trying to get a bit more towards the middle. I mean, that's the general pattern that happens. You appeal to the base in the primary and then try to get as many people as possible when it comes to the general without ticking off your base. This is just the calculus that happens. But in that kind of environment and with that extra to the right wing and particularly to the real base, things that are going to be happening in this election, I would wonder that I would guess that a centrist, a staunch or aggressively centrist candidate would not do that well in this environment, so much as being probably a bystander and punching bag is the word I was trying to say there, and combining it to your buy bag or stand bag, whatever. Anyway, wouldn't work out well for him. I mean, as it is, I still have, an idea that I'm going to be watching closely, that the actual announcement finally by the O'Rourke campaign is actually going to end up helping out the Abbott campaign, because as opposed to trying to prove the bona fides and say, no, truly are more conservative than these guys who are saying I'm not conservative enough, he can just kind of hold that up both as a straw man and also based on the actual policies, the sound clips we've heard a ton of that we've already been put out in ads before that whole campaign announcement, which just goes back to my whole timing issue with that campaign, but I digress. Point is that is almost a boon to the Abbott campaign. It'll help them fend off those challengers saying, no, all of this is a distraction. We need to focus on the real opposition, which says, I don't think you could have written a better quote to try and galvanize that part of the base than hell yes, we'll take your AR-15s, your AK-47s. And, I'm seeing it on billboards. I'm pretty sure I'll be seeing it on bumper stickers before too long once we really get into the campaigning here. And again, underestimating Abbott is a mistake in Texas politics because he hasn't exactly been by the wayside at any point here. Even if he wasn't in the top leadership positions, he'd been in state government for generation, give or take here. So underestimating him, his ability to continue to pull that in and work on it, can't exactly blame for Mcconaughey for not wanting to dip a toe in this race, but significantly not ruling out it in the future. Again, the quote there is not at this time. So it's a path I'm not choosing to take at this moment. So again, you can see the video for yourself and your own analysis, different part of it here, as John Hertz commenting on the whole phrase there and the response phrase about hell yes, we'll take your armaments there, paraphrasing myself. It's going to be an interesting election season, folks. I'm excited for it, but then again, I'm weird that way, and if you're tuned into this show, you might agree slightly with me that it'll be a very interesting one indeed. Some other articles coming out here, including some from the Texas Tribune, with a focus about the current tactics of the O'Rourke campaign, identifying that whole South Texas area that we've talked about here for a minute as an area of interest, because it was expected to be a bulwark for Democrats in previous elections, and that didn't work out. So trying to work out the kinks in that strategy seems to be a focus of this campaign going forward. But we are due for that break right now. So coming back from the break, we'll get into more of these comments and the calls on the line. Already full up here, but we'll get into those here as we are back in the studio after the holiday. Y'all just tuning in. Thanks for doing so. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Even as we're discussing the sometimes often divisive politics of the day, something that I don't think anyone really disagrees on is knowing how to take care of yourself and being in charge of your health as an important subject. Being an informed consumer in almost any area of life is a good idea, but particularly when it comes to advocating for yourself and knowing how to navigate our complex medical system, well, a tool that you have available locally is by tuning in right here on News Radio 690 KTSM to the Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandeep Rao. He's a board-certified vascular interventionalist that helps you stay on top of the latest medical innovations with healthcare hacks in the life hack kind of vein, meaning knowing how to navigate, how to work it, how to make it work for you, And it talks about that every week here, Saturdays at noon, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. You can submit your own questions to the doc before shows by emailing rao@medicalhackers.com. That's RAO@medicalhackers.com. And again, be sure to tune in this coming Saturday at noon, right after the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, I'm Erica Castillo with this KFOX 14 News Update. The murder on Shaver Park in the Lower Valley occurred after an $80 drug deal. That's according to the arrest affidavit. On November 1st, police found 3 shot teenagers at Shaver Park in the Lower Valley, ages 14, 16, and 18. The youngest one apparently suffered a gunshot wound to the shoulder but survived. The affidavit shows the teens who were shot were allegedly there to sell drugs after a transaction was arranged on Instagram on social media. 2 people are now in custody. 2 of the boys died. And a Cuban migrant man has died after climbing the border wall and falling and hitting his head near Tornillo. Border Patrol agents discovered an unresponsive man Saturday, approximately 1.5 miles west of the Tornillo port of entry. While performing line watch duties, the Border Patrol agents discovered the man lying on the ground on the north side of the border barrier with a significant head injury, as they described it. The man's wife, who was present and uninjured, confirmed that the man fell from the fence. I'm Erica Castillo with this KFOX 14 News Update.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
I-10 westbound, heavy slowing right now from Wrestler to Country Club. Heavy stop-and-go traffic at the Loop 375 southbound interchange with I-10. I-10 westbound between Missouri and Schuster Avenue. Very heavy stop-and-go there, westbound on the I-10. And a new accident just popped up, Edgemere and John Hayes. That's just east of the 375. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
High pressure across the area will lead to a mostly sunny sky along with warm and dry conditions across much of the region. Tonight, expect a mostly clear sky and light winds with temperatures settling into the middle to upper 30s by Tuesday morning. Coming up tonight, I'm tracking a pattern change which leads to unseasonably warm weather. Just how warm it'll be as we welcome the month of December. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kira Miner.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast Biscuit Sandwich. Just $1. Wendy's knows a better breakfast starts with a better biscuit. That's why you can get a hot and buttery Wendy's breakfast biscuit with bacon or sausage, fresh cracked egg, and cheese for just $1. Get your Wendy's Buck Biscuit Sandwich today. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Hey folks, this is Andrew J. Polk. I'm all about local, and El Paso-based Clever Tea is changing how to stay refreshed and focused in the borderland and beyond with a masterfully crafted blend of hand-picked oolong tea infused with crisp pineapple, creamy coconut, and more in every sip with just the right amount of sweetness. Find it in boxes and bottles at the Brown Street Market, CBD Vita, Upper Valley Mercantile, House of Hoops and Muscle Confusion Gym, and Cooking Time. Or order online and find special discounts at clevertea.com. That's KLEVRT.com.
Hi, Phil Swift here. When that next storm is barreling down, get prepared with the Flex Seal family of products. Floods can destroy your home. Push Flex base deep into cracks and holes to help prevent flooding. Seal doors and windows, patch leaky roofs and downspouts. Remember, when that storm is coming your way, keep your family safe and dry. Be prepared with the Flex Seal family of products. Available at FlexSealProducts.com and fine retailers.
Be sure to tune in to Talk El Paso Monday through Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. for the biggest stories and latest news affecting the borderland, brought to you in part by Advocate Health Advisors. So join me, Andrew J. Polk, live weekdays at 4 for Talk El Paso on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Audible is the best place to listen for everything you're into, from comedy and motivation to popular podcasts and best-selling audiobooks. Right now, take advantage of a special holiday offer and save 60% on your first 3 months. Learn more and sign up at audible.com. This report is sponsored by Audible.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day.
I don't watch television, so I get all my news from you.
News Radio 690 KTSM. El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Whatever you're doing going about your day, you don't want to be left in the situation of not knowing where to go to deal with those minor medical emergencies, those day disruptors, as I like to put it, those aches, bruises, breaks, sprains, whatever have you, illness, otherwise, that leaves you unable to continue on with your day as planned, but makes you wonder, okay, what should I do now? Know more by going where I go when I find myself in those situations, Upper Valley Urgent Care Center. They're your resource, open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., able to take on what you need them to, minor medical emergencies, all the way up to x-ray capabilities, plus vaccinations, and a whole lot more. They got 20 exam rooms, so Dr. Carpenter and his team ready to take you at 121 East Red Road, which is right near the intersection of I-10 and Red Road. Then just head down the hill and look for the big green sign, particularly for these holidays and these long nights that we do have. You want to know where to go on those nights, those weekends, those holidays, and they're ready for you. Upper Valley Urgent Care Center.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social pages, including facebook.com/Talk El Paso, same under YouTube and Twitter, and on Twitch at Andrew J. Polk. To have that conversation, we got chiming in with us right now, John Hertz, Ed Glor, Calvin Williams, more tuning in as well. Go leave your comments. That's where, particularly on this Facebook page, that's where the Skeptic Squad lives, and all that goes with it. No one ever agreeing with each other. Some bright moments when that does happen, but otherwise, always, I'm going to choose to say a robust discussion. Otherwise, a lot of issues talking about here today, including some affecting us locally, including approaching immigration changes, as well as CBP released out a little bit earlier today. The Antelope Wells port of entry reopens to traffic following a temporary pandemic shutdown, so more official crossings reopening, amongst other things. But also want to mention that Talk El Paso brought to you in part by Monterey Asset Management. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, consider investing in real estate. Monterey manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. Check out their new website, m1ep.com. That's m1ep.com to learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate. You can call Certified Property Manager Ray at 915-592-4549. That's 915-592-4549. Thanks for tuning in. Everyone may be doing so. More comments coming in right now. But again, please support our advertisers as they support us in our mission to bring back live local talk radio. Do have John Brazelton. Okay, I have some concerns about this phrasing now, but you're saying, let's go Abbott. So, I mean, if it's a sincere one, that's one thing. But if it's in the vein of the whole let's go Brandon thing here, I guess the whole let's go phrase is a little bit triggering for me lately as to what the actual intention is, particularly when it gets used in other ways. But Calvin Williams with another kind of constant issue out there, saying he hates El Paso drivers. Stay safe out on the roads if you are out there, and particularly if you're all listening while commuting out there. Little jingle that's been playing in my head rent-free lately is hello darkness, my old friend, why are you here? It's 4 p.m. Because yeah, this time change, sure, you get an extra hour of sleep, but boy do we pay for it. Anyway, that's neither here nor here. There, we are taking those calls here through the end of the hour now. That number to do so, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Right now, we do have Barbara on the west side on the line here. Barbara, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for taking my call, Andrew. I just wanted to speak about illegal immigrants again.
Oh, sure.
Several months ago, I was online, and I told your audience that approximately 12,000 unaccompanied minor children were lost in the system. Well, that number was upgraded to 45,000 just recently. And it's devastating. They believe that these children are being trafficked in labor. They're being sent, get a load of this, to the same people in the same zip code, and then they're being used as labor. And recently we heard that the several U.S. agencies seized 250 tons of illegal marijuana in Oregon. They found 300, they refer to them as narco slaves, who were being held there in 5 industrial warehouses where China, Russia, and Mexican cartels were growing, packaging, and sending the marijuana worldwide. Let's remember when O'Rourke announced he was running for governor, one of the things he wanted to do was legalize marijuana. Well, marijuana has been legalized in Oregon, Colorado, Arizona, numerous states. And in California, the cartels are actually intimidating small towns by going to their town hall meetings, and it's like, leave us alone, we've got to do our stuff. So we have open borders. These people are coming in, setting up shop, and growing these marijuana plants, using these unaccompanied minor children that are lost in the system as slave labor, and we know that they're used as sex labor, sex trafficking, and these minor children are being raped daily numerous times. I don't know when our Congresswoman is going to open her eyes because she supports the Biden administration and their policies. And this is a result of catastrophic policies. And this is ruining children's lives. This is now impacting us on our own soil. 5 industrial warehouses. Can you imagine that? Filled with illegal marijuana. I mean, they're in the United States. El Paso used to be a passageway to spreading or delivering or, sending marijuana. Now they're in the United States. They're even closer in Oregon to ship these things out. And in Southern California, like I said, it's happening. I'm wondering, is it already happening in Colorado and they just haven't caught it? I mean, these cartels aren't going to stop in Oregon. They see the states that have legalized marijuana, and they're going to go after it. So, our Congresswoman needs to step up and let us hear her voice against open borders because of what's happening here. And beware, people. This is on O'Rourke's agenda, legalize marijuana in Texas. Imagine that one.
I mean, these are serious issues, absolutely. And I think it's a fine point to point out that even in places where certain things that were illegal previously have been made legal, heck, even before this, you want to go back to like cigarettes, anything that is significantly taxed, which is the entire point of the marijuana legalization, at least the way it's often put as oh, no, we'll see benefits from it kind of thing. There's the taxes on it, that is still then built in an incentive for, I mean, it's not exactly they're going to disassemble these machines that they've built up to do this smuggling. And I would say that while, Oregon and those places are seeing that, it's absolutely still coming through here. The trafficking, both of illegal substances and of humans, is absolutely happening in our area daily. I mean, it's a hard one to find, but I've talked with advocacy groups involved with it, and it is constantly happening here. It just might not be the most noticeable, but that is also not to say that it doesn't happen or affect us here. We're not just a pass-through. Also, it often originates here as well. That's a separate issue, kind of what you were mentioning there. But yeah, the fact that there's going to be taxes on it, sometimes high taxes, keeps the incentive in place to have this smuggling, because if you can still make a bundle off of evading the taxes and whatnot. I mean, heck, we've seen other organized crime enterprises do that with things like alcohol and tobacco previously. It's not unreasonable to expect that would continue here as well. To the point on the current Congresswoman, I think probably the point that, at least given the recent campaigning that has been happening, would be about the whole Build Back Better agenda and removing people from the shadows that would then eliminate or make easier for their possibilities of not having to stay outside of the scope of law to do it. But I don't think that totally addresses your point there. So I would like to hear a little bit more on that as well.
People are going to stay in the shadows as long as we allow them to come in through illegal means. They're not coming in to be a part of our community. They're coming in to stay in the shadows. And until they understand that it has to be legally that they come in, they will be out of the shadows. But as long as they're coming in, sneaking in, their purpose is to be here under the shadow. And let's not forget, O'Rourke is for tearing down the wall.
Yeah, that hasn't necessarily been a total
major issues to our community and our country.
I mean, he got a decent amount of flack when that originally came up in the Senate run. I think he said, yeah, let's tear down all around here. And a lot of people locally said, whoa, stop, hold up there, buddy. We've had those for a while now because, let's be honest, we've had border barriers of some significant kind in this community for literal decades now that just happen to then have a confluence with more recent politics. But they've existed here for a long time. So I think there was a different local response to that as well. So I haven't necessarily heard that as a plank of this campaign. I'll be very interested to see if it does come back up here, but important points to bring up there. Thank you for the points in the call there.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. We got to take that break right now, and coming back from the break, we'll get to more of the calls and comments on the line. So if you want to call in, the number to do so, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Squeezing what we can, the last segment coming up here on Talk El Paso, here on News Radio 690, KTSM. Taking control of your health can look a lot of different ways and how you go about it, whether it's being informed, knowing, advocating for yourself, or taking advantage of new tools that are available in town, such as that of thermography. Therapeutics and Thermography, Inc., which is at 935 Sunland Park Drive. You can find it inside Biometrics with the big blue sign right there at Sunland Park and I-10, just down the hill a little bit. They are bringing back thermography to town, which is another technique that can help detect medical conditions before necessarily other methods can, particularly when it comes to serious ones like breast cancer. That's why they have extended their $50 off all breast thermograms through the end of the year. So as we are here at the end of November, looking towards the end of the year, particularly with all the celebrations, you want to make sure that you're staying on top of your health so none of that gets interrupted this year or in future ones. So you can give them a call and claim that $50 off benefit for yourself by calling 915-401-4053. That's 915-401-4053. Or find them online at elpasothermography.com. That's El Paso, TheRMOGRAPHY.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Checking your rush hour traffic in El Paso, I-10 westbound between Wrestler and the 20, very slow right now. Heavy traffic southbound and eastbound at the Loop 375 I-10 interchange. Got reports of an accident, Edgemere Boulevard at John Hayes, that's south of the 375 loop. Accident blocking the shoulder, Patriot Freeway northbound, north of Hondo Pass, that's cleared. All lanes are open there. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast Biscuit Sandwich. Just $1. Wendy's knows a better breakfast starts with a better biscuit. That's why you can get a hot and buttery Wendy's breakfast biscuit with bacon or sausage, fresh cracked egg, and cheese for just $1. Get your Wendy's Buck Biscuit Sandwich today. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-230-2777. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-230-2777. That's 800-230-2777 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. 800-230-2777.
Radio advertising can connect your business with holiday shoppers wherever they go. Use iHeart Ad Builder to create an affordable custom radio ad right on your phone. Just click, listen, approve, then hear it on the radio. Create your customized ad today at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
Hi, I'm Scotty Clark from Scott Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Did you realize your home's HVAC system operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year? At Scott Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, we're conveniently open 7 days a week at the same hourly rate. So for professional quality service, call Scott Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing day or night for a job done right at 595-4529. 595-4529.
Audible is the best place to listen for everything you're into, from comedy and motivation to popular podcasts and best-selling audiobooks. Right now, take advantage of a special holiday offer and save 60% on your first 3 months. Learn more and sign up at audible.com.
Monterey Asset Management, superior multifamily property management services citywide.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of stuff we're talking about here today, and a lot of ways you can interact with the program. Of course, we've got the social media pages, including facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Similar kind of usernames, Talk El Paso on YouTube, Twitter, at Andrew J. Polk on Twitch, as well as the phone lines. We got a few calls here to go. At that number to call if you want to try it again, 915-544-5876. 888-544-KTSM. Also got those pound 250 calls that you can get. It's kind of a foot in the door situation. We usually get to it in this segment. If you want to call and leave your comment ahead of the next show, that way to do it day or night is by calling pound 250. Dial that like a phone number, including the pound, on your cell phone. Then when prompted, saying the keyword Talk El Paso, leave your own message here. Got to give a quick shout out. I was out at the Thrive 915 Food Fest. Big event out there at Three Missions Brewery over the weekend, or early part of the week. It was Friday, technically. This all feels like weekend being the holiday here. Great event supporting local charities and organizations, and kind of a way to kick off the holiday shopping season with a local focus. So you can find them over at search Thrive 915 Food Fest on Facebook. And that's where they're at, partnering us with us here. They also do a great set of mixers that we'll be going to later this month as well. So check them out again at Thrive 915 Food Fest on Facebook. Pretty good for our Facebook people checking that out here. All right, get to a couple more calls for the end of the show here. Right now, we do have Jorge calling in from across the country here from Brooklyn. Jorge, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome, Andrew. I wanted to call because being a diehard Texan the way that I am, even out here in the Northeast, I want to comment on governor's race. I'm hoping that that will do good now that a potential star of Texas politics has declined the opportunity. I think that he could actually become, in fact, what he should be, and that's that star that Texas needs to shine bright over.
It's an interesting point here. Again, I would expect that he's going to move maybe into a support role or maybe back away entirely to become kind of a setting up his next candidacy here. I mean, you can look at all of this as a dry run setup and then to put into action for a future run, which he very clearly did not rule out. So it'll be an interesting one to watch, but at most, I think in this race, he'll become a supporting aspect, though whether it actually goes for one candidate or the other is another question entirely. I'll agree.
Yeah, I'm out here collecting my pennies, and when I get enough to him, I'll be sure to send them out over towards him, and hopefully that'll help him get what he wants, what we all need, a good governor.
Yeah, well, we'll see, and it'll be an interesting race overall, so thank you very much for that call there. Trying to get to a couple more here before the end of the hour, squeezing what we can. Right now we do have Raul in the Northeast with us. Raul, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. El Paso's health authorities are warning that there could be school closures if the pediatric cases continue to rise. There's over 400 active COVID cases in El Paso, four largest school districts, and it's saying it may raise the mask debate all over again. There shouldn't be any debate about it. We're living through a pandemic. It's evolving. The health authorities are trying to do the best they can with this novel thing. It is horrible what's going on. And Trump counties had over 3 times more COVID deaths than Biden counties in last October, according to a new report. And it's probably because Republicans and Democrats have taken the vaccine at different rates. These COVIDians, with the help of Republican politicians and the right-wing media, are winning themselves Darwin Awards.
I mean, that's taking it a bit far for me here. Frankly, I'm very much in support of the El Paso, but without all the fight going on about mandates and such here, is that I think individual El Pasoans are taking a look at the circumstances, at the situations going on, and making their own informed decisions about it, which is really how this is supposed to be working, gotta say. Because if you're just saying, well, does the government say it's good or bad? That's not my thought process. Anyway, I look at the conditions and then make an informed decision on, okay, what are the factors and what should I do about it for my own personal safety? I don't wear a seatbelt because there's a law about it and I'd get fined. Sure, I'm sure there are people out there, but because having been in unfortunate car crashes, not at fault myself in the past, I definitely preferred the outcome with it than what possibly could have come without it here. So, I mean, sure, there's unfortunately a number of people out there that will only do what they are told. I think that the fraction of that is up for debate, but it does seem to be increasing, which is it's concerning in its own way. But, I mean, just having been out at events like the one I was at over the weekend, I saw people making their own individual choices, not being required to, not even necessarily by the venue, but make their own informed choices about it, which is how I think this should be working. All right, trying to get to at least one more here before the end of the hour. We do have Ben on the east side right now. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Hello, Andrew. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving and everybody else. Barbara, whoever you are, please throw your hat in the ring. We need you to run for Congress against Veronica. Please consider it. You seem to be very knowledgeable. You speak well. We need somebody like you to run in El Paso on the Republican ticket. Please do it. That's my say for the day.
Fair enough. Hope you have had a good Thanksgiving as well. Thanks for the thought on the call there. I will say that we do have a announced candidate on the conservative side of things. Irene Armendariz-Jackson running to unseat, or running for the primary currently, and then hopefully to unseat current Congresswoman Veronica Escobar for the future. So we'll see how that works out. And, of course, probably as we get into the next month here, having more conversations with those candidates, particularly once, filing deadlines come up, people are finishing their filings. So it was a kind of a flurry at the start. I'm assuming there will be kind of a flurry right at the end. So we will see. But we'll certainly be having conversations, as we do every election season, with those persons on the ballot, because knowing what they want to do when in office, I think, is more than just a letter by the name. I think there's been a little bit too much rubber stamping going on, being like, sure, yes, even if there isn't straight party voting anymore, I just, scroll to the bottom of the end, agree with the statements without actually looking into themselves. For themselves, I think that's been a big problem overall. So that's why we focus on the issues, what candidates have to say, and what they will do when elected to office, what they claimed before, and then talk about what they're actually doing when in office, which is why we focus on those things there. So, and Barbara saying over on the Facebook page that Irene is an amazing candidate. Vote for her. So, we got a lot of stuff to talk about here, a lot of comments going on, but we'll have to leave it there for today because we are out of time here for this program. So everyone who did tune in, call in, comment, thank you for doing so. We'll do it again tomorrow, 4 to 5 p.m. right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. Again, thank you for being a part of the show. You all will make Talk El Paso what it is. Be back tomorrow with more. Stay safe out there. Let's watch your motorcycles when out on the road. Have a great evening, y'all. See you tomorrow. Back with another Medicare moment, we have Eric with Advocate Health Advisors. If a veteran has original Medicare only, why would they want a Medicare Advantage plan?
Well, firstly, any Medicare Advantage plan is required to have everything that original Medicare offers. Additional benefits are offered throughout most plans, including, but not limited to, things like dental, hearing, transportation, gym memberships, and over-the-counter benefits, just to name a few. Now, additionally, with original Medicare, there's no cap on the 20% of the bill that veteran would be responsible for. Every Advantage plan comes with a maximum out-of-pocket, after which the plan picks up 100% of the cost for that veteran.
For more detail on this and info on that, you can call Eric, your local advisor, wherever you're hearing this broadcast, at 1-800-876-0214. That's 1-800-876-0214.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Checking your rush hour traffic in El Paso, I-10 westbound between Ressler and the 20, very slow right now. Heavy traffic southbound and eastbound at the Loop 375 I-10 interchange. Got reports of an accident, Edgemere Boulevard at John Hayes, that's south of the 375 loop. Accident blocking the shoulder, Patriot Freeway northbound, north of Hondo Pass, that's cleared. All lanes are open there. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
With an open channel,
I guess just try to keep channels open.
We welcome open-minded individuals.
I try to keep an open mind to all issues.
With open arms.
I think we need to always have our eyes open.
For open conversation. And when you open the